Any other questions? Sorry, are you wanting to have a debate or a discussion?
Well,
Come in, let's have a discussion.
So you're still saying so?
You're going to have to move in if you want to hear.
I'm an atheist.
Yeah.
You're still saying that you would want to convert me.
Absolutely.
To Christianity.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to do that. But
I never said I could.
No, but I still think there's millions of non-believing cultural Christians that I mean everything you said.
Yeah.
I agree with.
Well, I mean, there's two things to talk about here. The first one is the topic of cultural Christians. And the second one is the atheistic perspective. Now, cultural Christians, there's a lot of people these days who are claiming that term. And I do welcome it. I don't see it as a bad thing. I think if somebody wants to align themselves to the church and the church's agenda and support the church in what the church is doing, then they're welcome to come in and put their shoulder behind what the church is trying to achieve. But what I fear is that a lot of cultural Christians, that what they want is they want a diluted Christianity that's just like lights at Christmas time, chocolate eggs at Easter, but they don't really want a deeper Christian nation. And I would say that that is something Christians can't go along with. We should seek a Christian state. We should seek a Christian culture, a Christian economy, a Christian politics. So that's on the cultural point, and I'll let you come back on both these points. But then the second point to atheism, the question that I would ask you, and feel free to come back on the cultural point if you want to, is as an atheist, 2 points. One, how far do you think you can get involved with what Christians are about? And secondly, what is it that stops you embracing Christianity in its fullness? And you feel free to talk on any of those 3 points, whichever one you want to talk about, or all three.
We'll start with the last one.
Yeah.
So I would say science. I don't believe in the resurrection.
Yeah.
When you look at evidence, I mean, why believe in the resurrection as opposed to any other world miracles?
Yeah.
But I see Jesus, the man, as a fantastic role model.
Yeah.
So, and that should be something that should be celebrated. That I think you could get a lot more people on board. So I think it's not what you're about, but in terms of what I think you want to achieve, I think it's a case of being pragmatic and making alliances. Or I've talked to people about trying to get, or talking to Christians about trying to get non-believers into church, not on a Sunday, but in that environment, getting dialogue going, getting some interest, but they're not interested.
So just to say, nothing in science contradicts the testimony of the resurrection. But science cannot and does not make any claims about whether miracles occur or not.
No, agree.
And so to use, as you did, and I don't mean this offensively, but a bit glibly and a bit sloppily, this idea of science, therefore resurrection didn't happen. It is a misappropriation of science, because science would never claim to be able to reproduce a miracle. And obviously science is based upon the reproduction of natural events. Yeah. Supernatural events are beyond the realm of science. Yeah. And so science cannot speak into whether the resurrection occurred or not. Because it can't speak into whether God exists or not. Mm-hmm. And if there is a God, then miracles are possible. But science can't answer that first question, so it can't answer the second. The second point that you made is that I agree the church needs to build alliances. Absolutely. There's a whole bunch of sudden goodwill out there in the country from people like yourself who want to get behind our Christian heritage and our Christian culture. And I think that we should work with that energy. And so people like you should be invited. But this is where Christians have got to be careful. Because I would say if you're going to support the church, which I hope you want to, that you should support the church on the church's own terms. So that means you should support the church in seeking to abolish abortion. You should support the church in seeking to strengthen marriage between men and women, abolish euthanasia laws, deal with Islamic courts and Islamification, teach people Christian history, teach people Christian ethics, support the evangelism of the nation. Like, how many of these agenda points are you willing to sign up to? Have you heard one yet that you're like, no, I'm not?
I think apart from the evangelism,
Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm
Yeah,
happy with it.
but you're wanting people to go back to church, and evangelism is the principal way by which Christians do
I
that.
went to Sunday school.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Failed you. There you go.
Yeah,
Failed
I'm
you.
a
Just
failure.
like
I'm a failure.
another failure of Sunday
But
schools.
There was a foundation there, and
Yeah.
there is a common text there that can be used for conversation.
Yeah.
That's a useful foundation.
Yeah.
So back on the science. So yeah, completely agree. Science is about creating models of patterns of what's phenomenal. It's
Yeah.
not actually getting to
The noumenal.
Exactly, the noumenal, what's behind that.
Yeah.
But there's psychology and there's sociology.
Yes.
And when we look at patterns around the world, if there was no religion, then societies would create religions.
Well, they do. Yeah, absolutely.
I think it is. So
and this is my first suggestion to you, my first argument to you, as to why you should consider that there is a God, because there's something in human nature. It's like we're programmed to worship. We're programmed to worship a God, to worship a divine, to interact with the supernatural through things like rituals. And, and human beings do that in every culture and in every society. Now, considering that only humans do this, we don't see any evidence of elephants doing it, or we don't ever see any evidence of monkeys doing it, or apes doing it, or dolphins doing it. Certainly nothing observable. That, I would suggest to you, is an indicator that perhaps there's something more to human nature than simply a biological automaton, a biological robot that's designed just to pass on its genes. Consider music, for instance. Just think about music. Now, music is something that is over and above communication, right? It's not necessary for mating, yeah? It doesn't increase your chances of breeding. And yet music is something that is coded into nature. Pythagoras observed this, that mathematics and music have a correlation.
Yeah.
And that sound waves themselves and frequencies themselves have physical effect. And our brain is attuned to this thing that is so intrinsic to worship. As Christians, we believe that humanity was created for the worship and glorification of God. And yet as a being, we use music in a way that is unique and superfluous to survival, and yet is intrinsically coded into nature itself.
Yeah, but we can say, well, the brain desperately seeks patterns. That's from a neuroscientific point of view.
Yeah.
And it is looking to build patterns, build a model inside the head of what's going on outside, and music is fantastic patterns. But then to pick up on the point, so there is something about human nature that we want to believe, but that doesn't mean to say that there really is.
Right, and if you truly believe that there really isn't...
I don't believe that there truly isn't. It's just...
So you're an agnostic?
Yeah.
Rather than an atheist?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I would refine it as saying I'm
functionally atheist.
An instrumentalist.
Right.
Sort of more on a
so functionally atheist, philosophically agnostic.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, that's right.
Right. But I would suggest to you that if you consider and you think your way through this, the dial that points towards the existence of God is higher than you imagine. So let me give you my favorite evidence, which is, about mathematics. Yeah? Mathematics is something that we're discovering. It's not something that we're inventing. It works by rules, and you sort of discover a new field of mathematics, and then you go on to then start applying these mathematics. And mathematics itself, as you might or might not know, is used by physicists in their explanation and understanding the laws of nature. So we're discovering this mathematics, we're using this mathematics to make predictions about nature, which we then later observe. So for example, Einstein's theory of relativity led, because of the maths, to the prediction of black holes, the prediction of gravitational telescoping, to the prediction of the expanding universe.
Yeah.
And then we observe these things decades after the maths predicted it.
Yeah. And bits of maths pop up where
yes,
not expected.
Yes,
It'll be a
exactly.
new area, and you think, oh, that's
or a field of mathematics suddenly it's discovered later after it's been invented.
Yeah.
It's discovered later to correlate to some actual real hard science. Now, my point to you is this: mathematics, as I'm sure you know, is a language.
Yeah.
You can communicate with maths. Two mathematicians can talk to one another so long as they're using the same symbology.
Yeah.
All languages require a mind. If we're learning mathematics from nature, then that means we're learning a language that has come from another mind. It has not come from our mind.
I don't think you can extrapolate to that.
Okay, so which premise was false?
In maths, you're finding patterns. If
that's what I'm doing now.
If in 1,000 years' time, no one will be speaking English like we are.
Yeah.
Most of the words will have changed. Right?
Yeah.
In 1,000 years' time, there will still be the same language of maths. The symbols might have changed,
but maths will still be there.
But the
same maths will be there. Yeah, absolutely.
Will be there because it's the same patterns in the universe. The physical constants aren't changing
so
in
you're,
the universe.
but that's the point. Do you let's go through this step by step. Do you agree maths is a language?
Do you reckon it was written by God?
Brother, if you want, brother,
to me,
do you want to have a conversation with me or with him? Make a choice, because you're not going to be doing both.
Okay, with you.
Just ignore him.
Yeah.
Focus on me. Let's have a conversation together. So, do you agree that maths is a language?
Not in the same way as a human language, no.
So, do you believe that mathematicians can communicate through the language of maths so long as the symbology is the same? So long as they use the same symbology?
Yeah.
Right, so
that is language.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So if maths is a language, do you accept the first premise that maths is a language?
I'll go along with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you accept that a language it comes from a mind?
Yes, but that mind could be Bernoulli or whoever, long since dead mathematicians.
Yes. Now here's what I know what you're going to say. You're going to say it's our mind that's doing the maths. Right. Here's the problem with that. Right. Is that every culture and in every civilization, even though their symbology might be different and their counting couplets might be different. You know, we use decimalization, but imperial systems were factors of 12. Right. Every civilization does the same maths. 2 + 2 is the same, regardless of you write it with Chinese symbols or and Latin symbols, whether you count in factors of 10 or factors of 12 or factors of whatever. And the reason why all maths is the same everywhere for every culture, even the Aborigine, right? The reason why all maths is the same is because we're all learning maths from the same natural world.
Yeah.
Which
We're all in the
means,
same universe.
yes. So it means that we are learning this language from nature. The language is encoded in nature.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If languages require mind, and if mathematics is encoded in nature, then that means the language isn't from our minds, it has to be from another mind.
Where do I start with that one?
So many problems with that idea. It's such a bad idea. Where do I've got a million things to pull you apart upon.
I don't agree with the word mind, basically.
So you don't think there is a mind?
I think.
Do you have a mind?
So there's the Cartesian split, mind and matter.
If you agree with a Cartesian split?
Yeah, that's the common idea of a mind is separate from matter. But for me, mind is
Are you a psychologist? Do you study psychology?
No.
Okay.
Mind is so John Dewey said mind is not a noun. Mind is a verb.
Yeah.
It's a process.
Yeah.
It's an interaction. So if I'm counting on my fingers, this is a cognitive process.
Yeah.
The mind is extending to my fingers.
Yeah.
It's not a it's a doing thing, not a
Right.
there is a
I-
mind.
I-
There is
I
a
would-
mind not
I would
connected
say
in space
I would
in a
say
Cartesian way.
I mean I'm not entirely averse to that understanding of mind. I agree that the mind is that certainly consciousness is much deeper than that surface bubble of consciousness that we call consciousness. And there's a lot to consciousness that we're not aware of. Like your choices, there's a lot to our choices that is deeper than, oh, I decided to eat bacon this morning, right? But and so I kind of imagine the mind as like the tentacles that reach out to explore the world.
Yeah.
And then because of the information that they receive, they go back into the deeper mind, what we're not aware of, to fine tune the choice making machine that then we make our choices from, right?
Yeah.
So I've got some sympathy to what you've just said. But the point is, me and you are interacting because of mind, because of our minds. Now, however we describe it,
Yeah.
ultimately becomes sophism. The reality of mind is being evidenced right now on these films. We're being filmed interacting as two conscious beings.
Yeah.
And so, however we describe it, there is that reality that is a non-physical thing that is different from the electromagnetic signals and the chemical fuzz in the brain.
No, it can still be completely physical. Or so to me, so everything shows up as physical. I mean, it's a bit like yeah, that's down there. It's I perceive that.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like consciousness is what reality is like from the inside. So it's sort of like a dual aspect monism
Let me. I mean,
approach.
let me try and give a real world example. Right? There's obviously somebody in this world that you love.
Yeah.
Right? Whoever that person is, right? The feeling of that love that you have for them, that affection, that attachment that you have for them, is going to be connected, and I'm probably getting the biology wrong, but to some kind of amino acid or some kind of interaction in the chemical brain. But if we take that chemical and put it in a test tube, would you agree with me that we don't have a thing called love? That what we have is some kind of amino acid or some kind of chemical compound?
Yeah, if it's just like that.
But do you love somebody?
Yeah.
Right. So love is what we're talking about. That's the mind bit. That's the non-physical bit. And whatever chemical interplay happens in your brain, whatever electromagnetic signals trigger, fire in your brain, those things, if we just separate them out and reproduce them in a test tube, no one would ever call that love. So there is something that is above the brain, above the chemical interaction, above the electrical signal, that is real, that love that you have for whoever, that is not the sum of its parts, but is more than the electro signals that give it property, a physical property in the brain.
Well, so as an example, so
I've just given one. Talk about the example I've just given.
Well, you say sort of like
Talk about my example. I've just given an example. We don't need another example.
In a dish, right? You're sort of like
if we get those chemicals, like let's just pretend that there's 3 amino acids that the biology's wrong, but let's just pretend there's 3 amino acids that fire in the brain every time you think of the person you love. If we get those amino acids and put them in a test tube, nobody in the world would look at those amino acids and go, "That's love."
No, not in a test tube.
Right.
But if you grow stem cells.
Yeah.
In a petri dish.
Yes.
And you transplant those onto a substrate.
Yeah.
With electrodes, and you connect them to the outside world.
Yeah.
Okay. That can learn how to do things. eventually, when maybe not too far away, you'll be able to build. This is a collection of neurons.
This is very hypothetical.
Well,
This is very hypothetical.
no, it's published. So last month.
No. Just stick to your example because I'm going to reply to it.
So we'll be able to build things in which you have neuromodulators generated and loops back. So you'll have something that you could argue. Are there emotions? Is there consciousness?
No. You see, hold on one second. Hold on 1 second. No one would deny that there's consciousness here.
No.
And no one would deny that there's consciousness between you and the one you love.
Yeah.
And I am absolutely 100% certain that even if they got a kind of membrane to reproduce the electromagnetic signals and the amino acids that fire in your brain whenever you think of that person you love, whoever that is, that nobody anywhere would go, that little speck of biomatter that we've just reproduced some electrical shocks. No one would say that loves someone.
I think
no one would say that.
Well, I'm saying it.
Well, I mean that is an assertion without evidence.
No, I'm
that's
saying,
an assertion.
I'm saying it's possible. I think it's something that you cannot exclude.
So you're telling me that a unconscious electromat, which is what we're talking about, a biological, electrical, chemical mat, can be in love with someone. That's what you're proposing in this.
Yes.
How?
Yes.
Is it conscious? Is it conscious? Is it conscious?
It could be. We don't know what conscious is.
You're making some huge leaps here, bro.
I'm
leaps.
throwing in doubt. I'm not saying it will be. I'm saying it could be.
Well, could be's, wannabes, whatever. Like that's not the.
But
I'm dealing. No. I'd simply disagree. I think that anyone will just look at that and go, yeah, that's an electrical signal that mimics what's happening in your brain, but no one would say that electrical signal on that biomat is love. No one would say that because
love is a process.
Love is a meaning.
Interaction.
Love is a meaning. The kind of affection that you have for the one that you love is connected to meaning, and no biomat, even if it reproduces exactly the same brain signals that you have when you think of the one you love, has meaning. It doesn't have a meaning, a story as to why you love such and such. And it's that reality, and it is a reality, because would you deny that your love for this so-and-so, whoever it is a reality? It's a reality. Yeah. But it's a reality that is not reducible to the electromagnetic signals and the chemical compounds that fire in your mind, your brain, whenever you think of the person you love.
But that's an assertion.
But it is. But I would argue. I mean, I would say that it's clearly a fact because your biomat is not conscious. Your biomat doesn't have a relationship with anyone.
Well, no, you could get two biomats together and get them.
What are they going to talk about? What are they going to talk about?
Well, they could.
What are they going to talk about?
In an environment where they learn human language, they would. It's an acquired thing, and if both of them acquire the same language, they can talk to one another. And we're talking about a biomat.
So you think we're going to create electrical biomats that are alive?
We could do.
That are conscious.
It could be conscious. We don't know. We don't know what consciousness is.
Well, I mean, but we experience consciousness.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about a reality, and you're talking about a hypothetical.
Can I just?
Our dogs conscious.
Do you know this is Speaker's Corner? Boy?
Yeah. Are dogs conscious? Yeah. Yes, of course.
Can I try something?
Dogs are conscious.
And again, that's an assertion. Is a thermostat conscious?
No, of course not.
That's an assertion.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking these are pretty secure assertions.
Yeah. So if you take Giulio Tononi's information integration theorem, that's built up of information loops. Okay.
Yeah.
So in the absurd extreme, a thermostat has got one bit of consciousness.
No.
It's absurd, yeah. But science is always giving us absurd solutions.
This is the idea. The idea that the idea that there is not a metaphysical reality to existence, and that everything is reducible to materialism, which is kind of the direction that you're going in. That whole philosophical outlook, that whole perspective, that whole direction of thought is self-contradictory. No one ever lives by that attitude. For instance, you yourself, like, you love somebody, but what you're trying to suggest is that love is not a real thing. It is the illusion of the brain in some firing. There are some chemical and biosignals shooting.
It's no illusion.
It's a real love. Are we agreed love is real? Are we agreed that love is real?
Yeah.
Right. And are we? And you're trying to say that a biomat that has a chemical and an electrical signal, like what goes off in your brain, is the equivalent to you being in love with whoever you love?
It could be, yes.
It could be. I'm sorry, but I want to strongly go the other way and say it isn't. It really isn't. Because your love has meaning. It has meaning in society. It has meaning in law. It has meaning to you, right? You're going to cry. If somebody pulls the plug on your biomat, nobody's crying about it. Not even the other biomats going to cry about it. You know?
It might well do.
I think these are just dramatic. You're creating a hypothetical world that doesn't exist. I'm talking about a real world that does exist.
Yeah, but I'm talking about a real world in which so there's a paper 2019.
Yeah.
Where this dish brain
Yeah.
brain
Yeah.
was able to play Pong.
Yeah.
Right. Last month, it learned to play Doom. Okay. In what's that? 5 years.
Yeah.
Actually, it might be more recently like that. The pace of technology. Yeah. We don't know where it's going.
So trying to link this back to the earlier point about mind and language.
Yeah.
Right? You're trying to say that we can create life that communicates. Agreed?
Yeah, but
Right.
The same physical stuff.
Right.
As us.
So we can create. You're trying to suggest that through technology and science we'll be able to create life that can communicate.
Yeah.
But that requires life. Requires existence, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right. So back to maths in nature. If we are agreeing that it is a language that we are learning, and we are learning it from nature, then that means we're back to the idea that that language is connected to the existence of a being.
Well, what's
So how is it? Because you're just, well, hold on one second. Because you're trying to argue that these biomats are alive and that they can feel love for one another and that they can communicate with one another and that we can, in the future, be able to do that in a lab.
Yeah.
Right? Now, assuming that that's ever going to happen, and that's a big assumption, but assuming that that's ever going to happen, what we have gone back to is the idea that you need the existence of a life force for communication. You agree that maths is a communication.
Yeah.
And you agree that we're learning it from nature. If we're learning it from nature, then it's someone else's communication because we aren't inventing it ourselves. So why is it in your example you talk about life communicating, but when we find communication in nature, you hesitate to say that that demonstrates the existence of another being communicating to us?
But what do you mean by another being?
God. That's what I mean. I mean God.
You can just equate. You can say nature is God.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, you could. Hold on one second. I agree that the who God is not defined. And yes, I know a psychologist, head of his field, leading psychologist figure, studied the human mind, ended up being a pantheist.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to know where that is, go and look up Justin Brearley's, one of his unbelievable conferences. It was one of the talks that was done there. Now, but the point is, I agree with you. It's undefined whether it's pantheist or something else, right? But the point is, it's still a mind. It's still another kind of existence, another kind of life, another kind of being.
Mind is a process.
Right, but the point is, it's still another mind. Doesn't matter how you want to define it, it's still another mind. Doesn't matter how much you want to wiggle away from the Christian God, it's still another mind.
If we're equating nature with God, then we are. You can say we are within God. We are.
Yeah, again, but that doesn't get away from the fact that there is another mind communicating with us. Are you going to accept that? However you want to define it, however you want to understand it, there is another mind communicating to us through nature in a language that we have learned.
Actually, well, no, because science.
Go on, why not?
A scientist could just do science.
No,
On
scientists start.
in a lab.
No, you're doing that sloppy science thing again. Scientists have no basis upon which to talk about the supernatural. They only talk about physical interactions.
Mhm.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the end
But
of scientific inquiry.
We can
So-
talk about. So a scientist can still sit in a lab. He can work out, trying to recording the patterns, the patterns of the phenomenal,
Yeah.
the noumenal.
Yeah.
And things can get very complicated. So he decides, well, I need to work out some notation to describe these patterns, and that is the language. Now, someone he'll die.
That's not maths.
He'll die,
The
and then
symbology
somebody
is not the
come
maths.
along.
The symbology is not the maths. You're confusing the symbology with the maths. The symbology is going to be written in Latin script or Sanskrit or some other script. But the maths is the same everywhere.
Yeah.
Everybody does the same maths because we're learning it from nature. And as you have in your example demonstrated, we have to be, for communication to occur between two things, even if it's created in a lab, it has to be alive. Because that was your example. Your biomats were alive.
They were, yeah.
Right. So, but that means, but that means, but that means, doesn't matter. But that even if you create artificial life, we're still talking about some kind of life. That means that you do, at a deep level, acknowledge that communication depends upon being alive, being existent.
Well, being existing. Yeah.
Thank you. So if we are learning maths from nature, that means we are learning the language of some other mind that is existent, whether that is the existent pantheistic universe, or whether that is the Christian God, or the Mormon God, or the Jewish God. There is another mind that is communicating through the language of maths in nature. I think you're slipping into cognitive dissonance.
So communication is...
Communication happened between
let's say,
living things.
You could say communication is a transfer of information from one person at one point in time and another person, and a person.
Like now,
at a different
we
point in time.
don't, brother. We don't need to overthink this. We're literally talking to one another.
But
We're doing communication.
But communication also works. If I write something down,
Yes.
and I come back to it next week,
Yep.
there's been communication. There's been communication from me last week and me now.
Yes.
Yeah?
I agree.
And there was only one being involved,
Yes.
and it was me.
Yes, I agree.
So it doesn't involve.
No,
doesn't require
you're not.
all
You're not tracking with me. You're not tracking with me, right?
I'm trying.
It does not matter how we define this other mind, right? And I would argue to you that if you come across a text that you did not write, and it's in another language, like, do you know about the Rosetta Stone?
Yeah.
You know about the Rosetta Stone. You know about ancient hieroglyphics and how we couldn't read ancient hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
Then we found the Rosetta Stone, and then we could read hieroglyphics, right?
Yeah.
So this is more that our analogy about maths being evidence of another mind is more like hieroglyphic. Come across this language. We did not write it, but then we found a way to decode it, right? Which is just through like learning it from nature and building like +1 = oh right, that's the rule in nature, and then you build the rules there, you break the code, and you read in more detail. We keep doing that, and each time we discover another rule of maths, it opens up another field of maths.
Yeah.
Or at the moment we discover new numbers, because that's what maths is. It is the discovery of new numbers, like negative numbers and what's the other word I'm looking for? Imaginary numbers, complex numbers, compound numbers, base numbers. Yeah. Now the thing is, we're cracking a code and we're reading someone else's book. Your analogy fails. Your depiction of this fails because this is a book that we've written and come back to, which actually that is full. Yeah. But this is more like hieroglyphics. We've come across hieroglyphics. We're scratching our head going, what the heck's this? And then somehow we crack the hieroglyphics and we start reading the text. Yeah. That means that it is another mind, someone else's mind.
So you could say DNA is a language.
It is.
And no human created that.
Thank you, gentlemen.
And that's something we've discovered, a bit like the Rosetta Stone, we've
Yep.
managed to work out.
Yes.
CGAT,
And even the guys, the guys that discovered it said that it's a language.
Yeah, yeah. But that doesn't. That's discovering the patterns, the phenomenal patterns.
Yeah.
And it's still not.
No. And I'm going to stick to physics because I know more about physics than I do about biology. Right, so I'm just going to leave it that DNA is a language. That's what the biologists are saying.
Yeah.
But I can't talk about it because it's not what I've ever studied. But I have studied physics.
Yeah.
And the thing is about physics is that it's not just we're discovering patterns. It's that using the maths, we are predicting nature's behavior.
Yeah.
Which means that we have trapped into a code that is hardwired into nature that allows us to make predictions of how nature will behave.
Yeah.
Right? That means that it is a language from another mind because we have not invented the maths. We're discovering the maths in nature. And then because we've discovered the code, we're able to go, this code means that nature will do this. And then we observe it later on. Now, the point is, the bit that I'm trying to get you to see, it does not matter how you define this other mind. It could be the entire living universe,
yeah.
Right? It could be the Christian God. It could be the Muslim God. It could be the Mormon God. It could be the God of a religion now long since dead that no one remembers. But the point is, in nature, we have discovered the language of another mind, not our own mind. And that's communication between two parties, not ourselves, but ourselves and someone or even some others. You know, we're not even limited to just saying one God at this point or one mind at this point. Right?
Yeah.
But can you see the point that I'm trying to make? That language indicates that there's some other mind at play. Could be a computer programmer for all we know.
Yeah, we could be in a simulation.
Yes,
couldn't we?
but the point is, it's still another mind.
It could be a mind in which we are a part. If we equate nature with God and mind in the broadest sense, then
Peace with you.
the good one.
Thank you, brother.
Then we are in nature, and so we could say, well, we are part of that great mind. It doesn't need to be another mind.
I mean, you could say that, but you've still got it. You could say that, but the evidence wouldn't support that because the evidence supports the idea that we're discovering this language, not inventing this language. Yeah. And you got to wrestle with that point, bro. You got to deal with that point. We're learning mathematics from the surrounding world.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not inventing the numbers. We're discovering.
Exploring. But
no. The notation is irrelevant to the maths.
I'm agreeing with you.
Right. So, but the point is, we're discovering numbers, and we're discovering the laws by which numbers work, and they're discovering that those number laws have correlations to physical properties and physical laws. which means that we have got a code in nature that we're tapping into. It's someone else's language.
Yeah.
Now, who that someone is at this point, you can fill it with whatever you want. But do you concede that there is another mind or minds that we are engaging with when we engage in mathematics and physics?
If that's how you want to
I'm asking you.
Mind, then
Well, how would you define it? How would you define mind?
To me, mind is a much more localized thing of an interaction between.
Go on, between what?
What's in my head and what's outside.
What about me? You don't talk to thin air. You talk to me.
Yes.
Or you could talk to yourself.
So you've got a mind.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So we're talking about, thank you again for pointing out that communication is between two contrary minds at the minimum.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's the point that I'm trying to get you to see, is that nature is pointing towards another mind. Or, if you want to be pedantic, you could say other minds.
Yeah.
Right? But clearly the universe has a language coded into it that is not our invention.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you concede that?
Yep.
Thank you. Right. So now the question is, Now the question is, right? And I don't know how long you want to be here. I don't know about you, but I'm getting wet and cold.
I'm struggling with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Blood sugars.
Do you want my gloves?
No, it's not temperature. It's
okay.
It's me not.
So
moving around.
Now that we've established that there's another mind, right? Your dial of agnosticism should shift away from the atheist side of that dial and towards the divine, the supernatural side of that dial. Because let me ask you this question. Do you agree that all the things of nature are contingent upon other things in nature? So you were born because your parents were born, and their parents were born. And if you go back far enough, there was some primate in evolutionary history and some amoebic plasma way back in evolutionary history. And there was some kind of event that forced chemicals into the first life. And that those chemicals themselves were created by atoms coming together by the supernovas generated by suns, but they themselves, and it goes back and back and back and back and back. And so you have this contingency to all of nature.
Yeah.
Right. If there is a contingency to all of nature that breaks down into reducible parts, and clearly from a physicist's point of view, we say that the universe has a definitive beginning, right? At some point in the far past. Now, the point to me, the point that I'm trying to get you to, do you agree that that contingent chains can't just go on infinitely, that they have to have a beginning, and that if they have a beginning, their beginning has to come from a necessary being rather than a contingent being?
Well, my physics isn't that
There's
good.
a million and one things wrong with this idea. Where do I start?
My physics, time can be an illusion, can't it? But
Time is it? Time.
Come up with.
There are understandings of time that say it's an illusion of entropy. However, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that it is an observable fact that all things have contingency on other things. But this chain of contingency logically can't go back forever. The reason why it can't go back infinitely forever is for two reasons. Firstly, in physics, anytime you come across an infinity, it's telling you that you don't know something. Whenever the maths comes out with infinity in physics, it's because there's some law that we don't understand, right? Good science doesn't say infinity is the answer, right? That's not how it works. So infinities are red flags. Oh, there's a law of nature you don't understand because you've come out with infinity as your solution to the maths. Secondly, if there's an infinity of contingent events, physical events in history, then there's no way we could have got to the present, right? Because an infinite length of physical contingencies means you never get to now. It doesn't make sense. So physicality means a finite beginning.
Yeah.
Now, a finite beginning cannot start itself. Would you agree?
You're taking our everyday understanding of causation and trying to apply it, well, to the noumenal or beyond our ordinary use of the language.
So that is atheism of the gaps. That what you're doing there is atheism of the gaps. You heard that trope about God of the gaps, right?
God of the gaps.
Yeah, you're doing atheism of the gaps right there.
What's atheism of the gaps?
Atheism of the gaps is, well, I'm going to postulate that there is some way that we can get around this logical problem, contingency and necessary beings, by postulating that we don't understand causation in the deep past. That is atheism of the gaps. Because you just don't want to confront the idea of the necessity of being.
Well, it might be. There might be a being, but I don't know.
Right, but here's the thing. One thing you can be certain of is the following. You can be certain that nothing creates nothing. Agreed?
I think you're taking language too far there. Language doesn't work at that point.
This is atheism of the gaps.
Language.
This is atheism of the gaps.
Well,
this is honestly, bro. This is atheism of the gaps.
If that's what you're to call
because
it.
what you're trying to what you're trying to do is you're trying to say that all of observable reality and all the patterns of observable reality that demonstrate a finite beginning to the universe, and the fact that we've never seen nothing create nothing, and the fact that contingencies can't be infinite or start themselves, point to the fact that there must be a necessary being outside of the contingency chain that gets the contingency chain going in the first place.
I don't think you can make that metaphysical assertion.
What was the metaphysical assertion?
Well, that everything has to have
a beginning,
a first cause. Yeah, but let me go along. Let's get over that. So let me say that there is a something,
a necessary being.
Necessary beginning.
Right. Yeah. A necessary being. Because the universe is a kind of being, it's a kind of existence, right? And I'm saying that whatever pushed the first domino over in the chain, right, that finger that pushed over that first one, right, had to be outside of the domino chain that pushes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just never get to the beginning and no one ever pushes it, right? Yeah. That necessary being, along with the fact of the necessity of the mind behind the coding in nature, means that we now have two of the propositions that Christians call their God. A mindful being and a necessary being. You see my point?
Yeah.
Yeah? So I would like you to engage with that point. The necessary being.
Yeah, so I mean, so there's a theism versus theism thing, isn't there?
Go on.
So which way around is it? It's theism is the idea that there is
a God,
there is something,
a creator God,
without saying anything about what it could be. So we
could
equate it with
could
nature.
be the giant spaghetti monster. Yeah.
Whereas theism is the belief that there is a God that actually takes an active role in the...
No, deism, do you mean deism and theism?
Yeah.
So deism is the idea that there is a creator God who then just goes away and does something else. The Epicurean God is another way to think about it, because that's what Epicurus taught. He said that the gods created the world and then they went off and did something else. They got bored of it and left it.
Yeah.
Right? So there's the deist Epicurean God, and then there's the theist God, and the theist God is one who doesn't just create the world and walk off like a clockmaker, but he's someone who stays behind after he's made the clock and he fine-tunes it and he keeps it ticking over and he interacts with it.
Yeah.
Right? Now, obviously, I believe in a theistic God,
Yeah.
but for now, all I'm trying to do is show to you that you have just to be clear, what's your name, bro?
Neil.
Neil. All I'm trying to do at this moment in time is just show to you that on your dial of agnosticism, where more atheist is over here and more supernatural is over here, that there are good reasons for you to move that dial that way. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to show you that there's real good reasons for you to move the dial, that it is more likely that there is a God than that there isn't.
But that's wordplay.
No, it isn't. I'm not doing sophism. I've given you two good reasons to believe in a supernatural being. That was not sophism. That's unfair. I'm not doing wordplay. I gave you good reasons. Either demonstrate my arguments are false or wrestle with the arguments.
You're using the word God and you've used the word mind.
Yes. I demonstrated a mind because of a language. I demonstrated the necessity of the mind because of the contingency of creation. This is not wordplay, these are arguments, these are sound arguments.
Where do I go with that?
I would want to suggest to you, that you need to sit on what you've heard, right, and think about it, right? Right, I'm not trying to. I'm not under any illusion that I've got some magic thing that I can say that's just going to make you become a Christian today.
No.
But what I am trying to demonstrate to you is that there are good reasons, really sound reasons, for you to move the dial towards belief in God and away from atheism, because of just sound reasoning and sound thought. Languages imply minds. There's a language in nature that implies a mind behind nature, or in nature, or whole of it. And the necessity of being, and this is a point that I've only just thought of actually, but it's quite relevant, is that the necessity of being moves the mind that we've identified outside of nature. That's the reason why it's not pantheism. The mind that we identify through the language, or the minds that we identify through the language, have to be outside of the contingency of nature, because of the very contingency of nature means that those minds or mind is necessary, and so it has to be outside of nature. So that's why it's not pantheism. So we've got good reasons to place the mind or minds outside of nature. I didn't think of that, but I just did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So we have.
But I mean, so there's the. So I think originally I said I probably describe myself as an atheist. So that was wrong.
No, you said agnostic. You said functionally atheist, agnostic philosophically.
Okay.
I took that on board.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm trying to say to you that we have good reasons to move the dial towards belief in a supernatural being, i.e. a being above nature, which a necessary being must be above nature.
Well, by definition.
By definition.
Supernatural is
above nature. So I'm trying to give you, not wordplay, I'm not trying to trick you, I'm not trying to hoik you or con you, but I'm trying to give you really good reasons why you can assume that there is a necessary being above nature. A necessary mind, let's say, above nature.
Well, if we say mind as a process, and what is a being? Because there's a danger that we say like human beings, we're bringing in ideas of maybe making something more of it than it really is. If it's to me, it becomes so, in terms of what you can actually commit to saying, it's so vague.
That most certainly did not stop you earlier
almost,
with your biomats. you were quite willing to go all out on your biomat hypothesis.
Well, yeah, no.
Well, but that's
yeah,
the point.
that's-
You're saying that I'm making, how much certainty can we have in what we're saying? But you're saying that the biomat that merely mimics your
not
biochemical signals when you
No.
think about love, that the one you love is equivalent to the love that you have with the one you love,
Well,
and that's not
the
true.
same. It wouldn't. It'd be but it's the same. It would be the same processes.
But
because
it's
it
not
would be made
love.
the same stuff as us.
It's not love.
Well, if we're talking about
Love is like, love for us is an action. As Christians, we believe love is an action.
Yeah.
It's something that we do. It's not the affection that we feel. But the affection that you feel, that you call love, and that you demonstrate by all those sacrifices you do for the one that you love, right? Those affections that you feel, that meaning, that story that you have, is not something reducible to the mere electrical signals, the amino acids and the chemical compounds that fire and shoot and trigger in your brain.
no, but it might be reducible to the phenomena.
The phenomena, but not the
because-
noumena.
Not, we can't say anything about.
No,
the
but you can talk about the noumena, because the noumena is what you're experiencing. The noumena is transcendent. When you experience the ecstasy of love, the joy of love, the happiness of love, the peace of love, the consolation of love, you're experiencing something that's more than mere phenomena firing in your brain.
No, I'm experiencing the phenomena.
No.
Consciousness is a phenomenon to me.
Consciousness. Consciousness is consciousness and mind is certainly related to brain. There's no doubt about that. That's obvious. If I shoot, no, I wouldn't. But if I shot you in the head, there ain't no more mind there,
No.
right? But the point, and when people have strokes, it affects their mind. So clearly, mind and brain are correlated.
Yeah.
But mind is that which interacts with the meaning of our lives, the significance of our lives, the value of our lives. And those are not reducible to the electromagnetic compounds and chemicals, because if we put those things in a lab, no one would say that's a mind, no one would say that's love, no one would say that's meaning, no one would say that's joy, no one would say, you just wouldn't.
Well, I do.
Because it doesn't make sense.
I do.
Then I think you have miscategorized these things. Because
we don't
a chemical...
have that technology yet.
Well, no, it's a chemical. It's just a chemical. Like, let's call it whatever it is. We'll call it, I don't know what chemical it is, but let's just call it...
You can call it oxytocin.
Let's call it yeah, there we go. That is joy, isn't it? Happiness, the oxytocin. Let's call it oxytocin. Yeah, let's call it oxytocin. No one looks at a vial of oxytocin and goes, that's love.
Yeah, no, not a vial, no.
Right.
No.
But
something that is physically constituted the same way as our brains are.
So now we're talking about a human brain.
That could be grown on a dish. Not at the moment, but in 5-10 years' time.
Yes, and if they do create life in a lab, right?
But this what I'm talking about, Matt.
No, hold on one second. Hold on 1 second. If they create life in a lab, right, and that life is alive, right, which is a big ask, but it's not impossible. If they create life in a lab, right, the fact is that life has a mind at the moment that it starts to love. Observing the fact that we grew it in a lab doesn't mean that when it loves, this is assuming huge technological leaps here, right? Obviously, as I noted earlier. But let's pretend that it happens. Hypothetically, let's pretend that it happens. The moment that biomat loves the other biomat, right? It has a mind, right? But the point is that mind and that meaning is not an automaton, it's not a robot. We're talking then about a life that is interacting with the meaning of its own existence through a mind. So you haven't got around my argument.
Which is
All you've done is transfer the mind to something we create when we create a brain. But you've still, if we successfully create a human brain, right?
or a brain.
Yeah. If we create a brain, let's say a human brain,
Okay.
right? That human brain, if it was a fully functioning human brain, that is then falling in love with another human brain and communicating with another human brain, also equally created in the lab,
Yeah.
they have a mind, right? I think, by the way, that would be horrific in science, and there's a whole ethical question about whether we should be doing this. But all you're doing is transferring my argument to something we've created in a lab. You haven't got rid of the mind-brain dichotomy. You haven't got rid of the idea of this non-physical reality with which we engage with one another. All you've done is now transfer it to something that we've created in a lab.
You said non-physical.
It is, the mind is non-physical. Well, our interaction, our understandings of one another, the meaning is a non-physical reality. Meaning, the thing called meaning, right, is not connected to a chemical compound. It's not connected to electromagnetic signal, but meaning is something that we both live by, and we cannot function without meaning.
But isn't it, I mean, like raining, you're not going to like this, you're going to say this is wordplay. Raining is not a physical thing.
Yes, it is.
But it involves physical stuff, which is water falling out of the sky. So you're saying raining is a...
Raining is a description of a physical act.
Yeah, so mind is a description of a physical activity.
Right. And what I'm trying to say to you is that the point I'm trying to get at is things like meaning. Where in the brain is meaning? Which part of the brain is meaning? Which chemical is meaning? Which electromagnetic signal is meaning? It isn't. The meaning is a physical reality that our minds engage with. Now, let us assume that mind is the physical activity of brain, right? So, mind is the physical activity of brain, but meaning is above. Is above that. Meaning isn't a physical activity. Meaning is a paradigm into which our physical activities are framed.
Possibly, if I understand you.
And meaning, like values, are physical or realities. We live our life by values, we live our life by meaning, and we live our life by truth. Agreed?
Yeah.
But none of those things, truth, is not reducible to the brain. Meaning is not reducible to the brain. Values are not reducible to the brain. They are the creation, or rather, the discovery of mind. So brain gives rise to mind, and mind interacts with these metaphysical, supernatural realities by which we navigate our lives, like we would navigate a forest or a mountain or a roundabout.
You just said metaphysical there. Where does metaphysics come in?
Because metaphysics is
other than being able to say that, I mean, like, this is Kant, isn't it? To say that there is something noumenal, but we don't know anything about what it is. So we can say that there is something metaphysical.
But we can.
We're not denying that, but we just don't know.
Do you agree with me that there is a thing called truth?
I'm inclined to, yes. I mean,
Right.
you could also argue.
I'm so
truth
glad-
is
I'm
a
so-
social construction.
All right.
Or whatever. But
Well,
I'll
no,
go
I'm
with-
asking
I'll
you
go
your
with-
honest opinion.
I'll go
What
with
do you
mine.
believe there is a thing called truth?
Yeah.
Right. Where is that where is that reducible to brain?
Not reducible.
It's not. You're right. You're correct. It is not reducible to brain.
Yeah.
Right. Now we've established that there is a reality called truth that is not reducible to brain. How do we interact with truth? Through our minds. So brain gives rise to mind, and mind interacts with these non-physical realities like truth and meaning and values. Incidentally, they also interact with non-physical beings like angels and God and demons.
Well, now you're talking about you're constructing metaphysical stuff.
Yes, there is.
That you're talking.
We've
about.
established there's a geography to
Does your argument not assume omnipotence on the part of this deity? Now, I have never got this with Christianity. I'm not Christian, but I agree with a lot of things that Christians believe, even though I'm not Christian, because I have always had an issue with the omnipotence that you believe in. I can go and imagine a medieval battle, both sides are praying to God. So it's absolutely okay for all the people on one side to die and the other side to win, was God's will. It's okay for everyone to die. I always think.
I mean, it slightly comes in.
I had to say something.
It nosedives into it. Just read,
My leg is.
no. Do you want to stop?
It's giving up.
Do you want to stop? Let me give you a
Okay.
gift. Neil, isn't it?
Neil.
Neil.
That's right.
The point.
My leg is shaking. You saved me. Yes. It's been a great conversation.
It has been a really wonderful conversation, and thank you so much for giving me your time.
Absolutely.
Have you got a Bible?
I do. Yeah.
Do you read it?
I read the Gospel of John not so long ago.
Right.
Because I was talking to someone on a high street somewhere.
I mean, do you believe in evolution?
Yeah.
Good, so do I. And here's a pamphlet showing that Christians aren't against evolution.
Right.
Since a lot of our conversation was scientific,
Yeah.
thought something scientific might complement that. But what the point that I would want to leave you with, final point that I want to leave you with, is that I think for me, where we've landed in this conversation, is that brain gives rise to mind,
Yeah.
and mind is engaging with non-physical realities like truth and meaning and values. There is a geography to life, there's a geography to existence that's as real as mountains and forests and swamps and roundabouts, but it's not physical. Values, meaning, truth, mathematics, numbers, and these kind of almost platonic realities, we only encounter them because of our minds. And if there can be non-physical realities, that is the geography of existence, then I want to posit to you the possibility that in that same realm of non-physical geography, there could also be non-physical beings, one of whom is called God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah?
There could be. Yeah.
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 Whether there is a
Well, I gave you good...
moral basis for living your life by that
is a separate
is
conversation.
a separate question.
I think your phone's good.
next
Neil, that was a really lovely
Yeah,
conversation. You look
that was
after
great.
yourself. I hope
Yeah,
we talk
and-
again.
And you.
Yeah,
And
God
I'll-
bless you.
I'll carry on watching you.
Thank you so much. You look after yourself.
On,
If you ever
on
want to do a
YouTube.
Zoom call, just contact me via my website, which is you find through my channel, Bobzilla Speaker's Corner,
Yeah.
and you can book a Zoom call and we can maybe meet for a coffee or talk on Zoom. All right,
great.
really lovely. God bless you. Take care.
Absolutely great.
Right, sorry, sister, no, it's all right. You wanted to talk about omnipotence.